Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Clarence Buggs along with the coach at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill. Coach, as usual, we start with some purple and gold. LSU faces the third top 10 of the season, and they come away with win number 3.
Well, that was huge for them because, and Auburn hadn't won in Death Valley in many moons. And so they had to keep it going. And Auburn had just come, this was the third straight road conference game for Auburn.
Yes.
They went to Arkansas, they went to Florida, and now they were at LSU. So LSU sort of had a little edge there because those games are very difficult on young people.
Despite that, however, the Tigers were held well below their 50-point average a game. But the 23 that they scored was plenty enough.
Yes, and they had 503 yards, I think, or 509. But they didn't make the yard count for points.
Right.
And that was one of the things that you got to be careful, is that you have a lot of yardage and you're not putting points on the scoreboard to reflect the yardage you're gaining.
Under any other circumstances, you might kind of poo-poo that off a little bit, but when you're talking about taking on the likes of an Alabama, that can turn around and bite you, Coach.
Oh, it will, because Alabama is going to score.
That's right.
The key is you got to keep scoring, and you have to go in and punch Alabama in the mouth. Bam. And just say, here I am. Take me.
All the ladies out there say you can punch them in the mouth, just don't mess up Nick Saban's hair.
Oh!
We've got highlights from this historic encounter in Death Valley, so we'll ask the guys out in the truck if they will be so kind as to roll the highlights as we continue our conversation. Coach, the win pushed LSU to number 1 in the AP poll, number 2 in the coaches poll. At this point in the season, would you rather be ranked ahead or behind Alabama, or does it really, in the grand scheme of things, not mean a whole lot one way or the other?
It doesn't mean a whole lot one way or the other. It's more pressure if you're number 1, because now teams are going to have that added motivation to knock you off.
Right.
But the key is, it really doesn't matter right now. They're going to have to prove that they're legitimate number 1 and go and play really good defense and score in Alabama.
You talk about legitimacy. The SEC has 4 teams in the top 7 or 8, depending on which poll you subscribe to. That's insane, Coach.
It's not insane. It's just the SEC, baby. Only the SEC.
Yeah.
And that's what you get in football. And it just didn't start. It goes back many, many moons or many years where they had so many good teams and they had to knock each other off to get to the championship game.
I was particularly impressed. Joe Burrow, aside from his quarterback IQ, the toughness of this young man, and he seems to be able to show it at just the right time to motivate the team to toughen up as well.
Well, he coming out of the Big Ten, they play tough football there.
Good point.
And I don't know if he's an Ohio boy. If he played high school football, it's tough in Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got that background. And being a coach's son, I'm sure the dad couldn't play favored with him. He had to be extra tough on him. So I think all of that played into him being successful now.
Now, just for the record, I agree wholeheartedly with Coach that, they do play tough football in Ohio, just not as tough football as we play in Louisiana. just for the record.
I would agree with you on that.
Coach, some coaches will try to downplay the LSU-Alabama game, telling their teams it's just one game on the schedule. Do you think the young men are buying that?
Well, they ought to, because it's true. But at the end of the day, it's bigger than that. And the kids want to play above what they're capable of playing in many cases. The great players are going to stay within themselves and make the plays.
Right.
It's the other kids who are role players need to make sure they do their role, do their job.
Good point. This off week that both LSU and Alabama enjoy, it couldn't come at a better time for both teams, could it?
Well, it's scheduled that way. For historically, before Alabama play LSU, they take a week off.
Kind of like the Bayou Classic
sure,
week
they've
off.
got to take and prepare so they can get ready.
All this retooling, new offensive passing coordinator, recruiting, the whole nine, all of this now culminates in the next game. This is all designed specifically to beat Alabama.
Well, that's so big because Alabama has been a stopgate, a thorn in their side. It's been in their way for many years, and they hadn't been able to get over the hump. So maybe this year will be the year.
Well, we are sure pulling for this year to be the year that we get over that hump. When we come back, we shift from purple and gold to blue and gold on the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Break out of the chaos.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays, and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach? Told you.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Beep, beep.
Welcome back to segment 2 of this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Again, we come to you from Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill. Coach, let's talk a little Jaguar football. Once again, Jags could not get over that hump, speaking of getting over the hump, that hump known as Alcorn.
Yeah, they've had that number the last few years. But you know, it's a thing that you gotta, it could become mental, but you gotta try to play through it. All Southern has to do now is run the table, and they could get Alcorn again, and then play a little better and beat them in the championship game.
You mentioned being in Southern's head. Are they already at that point? And if so, how do you get them out short of going up to their place and beating them?
Well, you have to play error-free ball and execute. You have to execute and stop them from making big plays against you.
How much of this, Alcorn having Southern's, quote, number over the years, particularly as you go back over the last 4 or 5 years, how much of this is due in part to the sanctions that Southern had to deal with?
Well, big people don't want to give that credence to Odom.
Right.
Because of the sanction, he hadn't been able to build his team.
Good point.
What I'm saying, he needs to build numbers and have scholarship kids. Now he's just getting scholarship kids.
Right.
So it's a big difference. He was playing with walk-ons.
And of course, let's go ahead and roll, guys, out in the truck. Let's roll the highlights as Coach and I continue our conversation. You talk about that, but once the sanctions are over, if we can look 4 or 5 years down the road, facilities-wise, we're pretty much on par with a lot of other schools in the conference. It's just a matter of us getting past those sanctions, and Southern should return to where it rightfully belongs, contending for the championship year in, year out, every year, correct?
And they're doing that for the most part right now.
With the exception of Alcorn.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the key is they just need to do it with scholarship kids.
Yeah.
I think if you can go after the same kind of kids, recruited kids, things will be a lot better. And the fans have to be patient.
Yeah.
You can't get it overnight. It's just, we didn't get there overnight. It's going to take a while to get there.
You and I were talking before the show started, and I posed a question to you about recruiting, understanding that Alcorn is in our sister state, the neighboring state of Mississippi, Southern being here in Louisiana. Is recruiting easier or tougher, do you think, for Alcorn to get the caliber of athlete to beat Southern year in and year out?
It's a lot easier. They don't have as many schools. When you look at it, they have 3 Division I schools in that state. And we've got like 11 schools that play football in the state of Louisiana. Way too many.
Yeah.
And they've got probably 6 or 7 that plays in Mississippi.
In Mississippi, yeah.
Plus, the other factor that plays in is that there are a lot of small towns in Mississippi, unincorporated town.
Right.
And you can go find a sleeper somewhere where you can't necessarily do it here.
And on top of that, Mississippi has one of the best junior college systems in all of America, which in many cases serves as feeder programs for other Mississippi schools as well.
Very good point, Clarence. So it's a lot of advantage that Mississippi have that we don't. But you know, Louisiana is still a great situation.
Oh yeah.
Per capita, we've got some of the greatest athletes.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
We just don't have the numbers with people.
Back to the game itself. Football is often called a, quote, game of adjustments. We were up 6-3 at the half, but we ended up giving up 24 unanswered in the second half. Obviously, Alcorn made better adjustments.
Made better adjustment. I just saw a turnover here. And them turnovers, you can't have them because they're closer to the Alcorn end zone. And it's just so difficult to play defense with a short field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So give Coach Odom a chance. He'll fix it. It takes time, you know, and I keep telling people that you can't have big plays like this right there. They have a big play, you know, with a field goal. So, I mean, that's a beautiful stadium over there. It's not a big stadium,
right,
but I love that stadium.
And it's got room to enlarge that facility over the years if the need should arise. You look at the fact that it's no big secret. Alcorn has had our number for quite a number of years now, more than the Southern faithful would like it to see. At this point, how much does a game like this become mental as opposed to the physical ability of the players, Coach?
Well, it can become mental, but it's the realization of it all, Clarence, that Alcorn probably have more talent than us.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I think they've been able to beat us.
Well, so far we have covered purple and gold and blue and gold. When we come back, black and gold time on the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Break out of the chaos.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be.
Call Go Tax Resolution in Mandeville at 985-722-1040 today.
We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help.
Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Mandeville at 985-722-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Welcome back for segment 3 of this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. By the way, guys, girls, if you've not yet been out to Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill, you are truly missing a treat. They're located at 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Great people, great food, great atmosphere. It's a winning combination all the way around. Coach Drew Brees finally makes his long-awaited return, and talk about being worth the wait.
Well, you know, one thing about players like them, the coach can't say we're going to wait. He took advantage of it.
Right.
And he started through 3 touchdown passes. So he was really ready and did a really good job.
I think the majority of fans, if you were to ask them before the game, were probably of the opinion, nah, take another week, enjoy that bye week. Probably in the neighborhood of about 80% of fans wanted Drew to sit out and get an additional 2 weeks. But being the kind of guy that he is, I get the feeling wild horses could not have kept Drew Brees off that field.
That's right. I guess the same thing too. But you know, he didn't get hurt. He did a really good job.
Right.
You know, and the team really rallied around him. I tell you, Michael Thomas and Drew Brees are made for each other.
Oh, yes, Lord.
Oh, it's so easy.
Yeah.
You know, they make it look easy anyway.
Well, speaking of looking easy, let's see how easy it looked as we roll the highlights from the Saints and the Cardinals down in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome as Coach and I continue our conversation. You talked about Drew being the competitor that he is. It looked to be for many of us that are longtime Drew Brees watchers a little bit of a slow start, but it didn't take long for him to catch fire, Coach.
No, he came, once he got going, man, he was ready. You know, and like I said, Michael Thomas make it so easy for him. And look, the Cardinals with a flea flicker did a good job there.
You kind of feel good even though that was a completion, because at some point it tells you, okay, this team figures they've got to resort to trickeration to beat us. That says a lot about a team's psyche, Coach.
Yeah, I tell you, every 9 team, each team got a trick play they like to run. Because if you can score on an unconventional play, it always give the defense one more thing to think about.
Yeah, and speaking of defense, our defense continued to hold up their end, allowing the Cardinals to find the end zone only once.
Yeah, they really are playing good, and Murray is really playing good also.
Talk about, huh?
Oh my goodness, he's doing the job.
You were a little concerned when Mark Ingram was let go as far as the power aspect of the Saints running game. Are you starting to feel a little bit better about that, watching how Latavius Murray has continued to shine in his time subbing for Alvin Kamara?
I really like what he's doing, you know, and the Saints didn't let what's his name, the running back
Ingram?
go? They didn't let Ingram go.
Oh, yeah.
He played out his option.
He opted out, yeah.
He opted out, so, but I tell you, Murray has stepped in really good. You know, hopefully he'll stay healthy and make things happen.
So what do you think the day was like for Teddy Bridgewater, especially the way he was treated or greeted by the Saints faithful when he came in for mop-up duty?
Well, it had to be one of those things where he understood
his role.
His role.
Yeah.
When he signed, remember, he could have gone back to Miami and be the starter. But he stayed there knowing that this was a better situation for him and the team. So it's about winning in many cases with people.
Yeah.
He wants to win, and he knows Drew Brees' days are limited, and that it'll be his team after that.
And it was really a great feeling to see the Saints fans respond to him the way they did. I mean, the chants of Teddy, when he came in, albeit for mop-up duty, said a lot about what the Saints faithful think about the job that he's done subbing for Drew Brees.
Well, that lets you know that fan base appreciate. It's a team game too. They appreciate what he's done, and the quarterback is the most glorified position on the field.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you know, everybody's watching you every time. You know,
the bye week comes at a great time, getting ready for the stretch run, and this year we've got a little extra added luxury, if you will. We're getting ready for the second half of the season, the stretch run, and Drew Brees is already well rested.
Well rested, healthy. It ought to be really interesting. They've lost only one game. Only San Francisco 49ers have not lost a game.
Yep.
So it's going to really be a good battle toward the end of the year.
And you look at the fact that I want to say maybe 4 weeks down the road, we meet the 49ers. And of course, they are, from many years ago, the thorn in our side from when we used to be in the NFC West.
Right.
That's got the makings of a heck of a showdown.
Oh,
Coach.
that's going to be a great showdown. San Francisco is really playing good. The Saints are playing good. If each team stays healthy, I look for a battle in the Dome or out west.
After the bye week, the hated Dirty Birds are on the schedule. Atlanta Falcons with the record of 1-7. How did things go so horribly bad so fast for a group of professional ball players, Coach?
Injuries did it. They had some injuries and it just didn't work out. They had to trade some people. I mean, all it takes is one or two key injuries and throw everything out of whack.
Kind of makes what happened with the Saints an even better story when you're playing without the likes of a Drew Brees, without Jared Cook for a couple of games, without Alvin Kamara for a couple of games, and here we are at 7-1.
Yes, I think it's a great, but every team won't build the same. They don't build the same. Obviously, the Saints will build a little more better.
Yeah.
You know, with the role the players had to play, who came in, were able to execute them. Atlanta has been a big difference because they maybe have some internal issues that we don't know about. So it's all working out. Every team is a little different, though.
Well, if it came down to the Falcons having to suffer versus the Saints having to suffer, I think we all know what side we would fall on. Just saying, Falcons, just saying. When we come back, we'll wrap up this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Stay with us.
No problem. It's not personal. Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach? Told you. Welcome back for the closing segment of this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. We are coming to you from Scoreboards, located at 10655 Coursey Boulevard. It is Baton Rouge's newest sports grill. When you get the opportunity, come on out. TVs galore, high def everywhere, sports memorabilia, music memorabilia, and of course the food and some great people. It's a winning combination all across the board. Coach, I'm going to ask you to put on your Coach Orgeron hat this weekend. You got an open week before what is arguably the biggest game of the season so far. What are you focusing on, and what are you telling your team?
Boys, we're going to work on making sure we don't make many mistakes. We got to play heads up. We got to take away a few takeaways and make it happen.
So the defense now starting to come around, starting to catch up with the offense. If they continue progressing at this rate, you're talking about a dangerous football team here, Coach.
Yeah, you really are. And it's a good thing to see. So happy for him because Coach O is really a good person, and you love to see good things happen to people like him. Yeah. He's had a couple of head coaching stints that didn't work out, and this one could be the one that works out for him. Yeah,
I noticed this week that shortly after the Auburn game, they added another 4-star recruit, solidifying the #1 recruiting class so far for the year 2020. Winning has a way of breeding certain things, good things for your program, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. The kids want to come and be a part of that success. And this is why Alabama for so many years, it was Florida, then Alabama.
Right.
Now LSU maybe is coming up the ladder to be able to be a perennial choice to win the SEC every year.
Yeah. If LSU or let me rephrase that before I start getting hate emails and the like. When LSU knocks off Alabama this year, what message, if any, does that send to the other schools in the conference? You just mentioned for a while it was all Florida. For a while, all Alabama. Now LSU hopefully has risen to that level. What kind of message, if any, does this send to the other sister schools in the SEC?
The worst thing you could say is when you win. You have to win. I don't care what hate email you get.
We're going to win this one, Coach. We're going to win this one, Coach.
We're going to play hard, guys. We're going to play hard 60 minutes.
Yeah, there's another famous coach that kind of went out on that limb, too.
Yeah.
And we know how that all worked out as well. Jaguars got to refocus now, Coach. They hit that stumbling block in the road. They were hoping to get over that hump, but now it's back to the drawing board again.
Well, Coach Odoms have done a good job of rallying his kids over the year. They'll find a way to come back and play. They got homecoming this weekend. It's a big game. They win this one. And then they got the 2 games they got to win is Jackson and Grambling.
It is a special time of year as we start to close in on the LSU-Alabama matchup, and of course, not too far down the road, Focus Jaguars, the Bayou Classic as well. It's the time of year that we all live for and makes for a special time in South Louisiana. On behalf of the coach and the crew, I'm Clarence Buggs. We'll see you next week with another edition of the Roger Cador Show. See you then.